Hey everyone, this is Robby Danksworth. I want to do a quick video breaking down how I make drum kits on the Roland P6 and specifically how I was able to fit 64 drum hits on one specific pad. So just going through it here, my different chops on different pages. So I got the idea to finalize this thought I've had for a while that this is possible when I was in DiBiase's Discord the other day and people were talking about how the P6 could be used for live performance and if it's enough sample time and things like this. And I think that this is really underlooked for the amount of sample time it has actually, because it's organized a little bit weirdly. So just for some context, the SP1200, like the most famous sampler, at least in hip hop of all time, has 10 seconds maximum sample time at 26 kilohertz, and you have to split that up with 2.5 maximum seconds per sample, versus this you can have 11.8 seconds at 22 kilohertz. So basically each pad is the SP1200 and we have 6 times 8, 48 pads of SP1200s basically, if you think about it like that. So there's really a lot of opportunity here if you organize it correctly and think it through properly. So I'm just going to quickly show you guys how I organized the drum hits. And this could also be used for chords and stuff. So just try to keep this in mind, that this is something that you could do to have like a template that you could build from and then organize the sounds and patterns so that when you're in your performance, you just basically have this split up into patterns already, or you'd be able to access this however you want. Another way you could use this is if you're just making beats, you don't care about performing, then you just have these drums all loaded up here. You could have them chopped like this, or you could even just find them with the start and the end point, which drum hit you want, and just leave it like that and don't bother with the chopping, which is also a reasonable way to approach it, and then just copy the pads over, and then you have the sub kicks and everything. So I'm going to quickly break down how I did this in Ableton now. So we're in Ableton now, and you can see all the different drum hits I made and how I organized it. So I got my kick, my snare, my hat, my fill. Down here we have my drum breaks. These are big drum break files that I made when I moved, because I wouldn't have access to my vinyl records. So just to play you a snippet of one of these. You hear the needle getting laid down, and then takes a drum break, of course. And then basically I went through and I grabbed, so let's say I wanted the snare, grab the snare, drag it, and then I would put them on the beat, basically, as accurately as I could. So we'll go here to the beginning and you can see this. So here's the second beat of the first bar, and then you can see them online here: kick, snare, hat, then some fills and stuff here. I did this at 160 BPM for time. As you can see here, we're a little bit over the time requirement, but we'll fix that later and I'll show you how in a second. But first I want to talk about how we organize this. So this needs to be sharp here, because when you do the chopping in the P6, you don't want any overlap or it's going to create clicking. So if this is too far to the left, it's going to catch it and it's gonna clip, or vice versa. If this is too long going into here, it might clip. And then I put tails on a lot of them to either make them fit or to try to reduce any clicking or popping that might be induced later. You could already start treating them here with the EQ or something like that, but I left them raw so that can be done later. I added a snare for all of them except for the actual snare track, which I added a kick so that you could find the end easily, but that wasn't so useful. So once you have this organized, you can export it or render it in place. And then what I like to do is I like to open Audacity, actually. It's a little funny, but Audacity has a great effect to change the speed and pitch of the sample, and you can actually do it like a record, so from 33 to 45. And if I do that, it will shrink our sample down to shortly under 18 seconds, which is what we need for sampling at 14 kilohertz, which I'm going to do. If you want it to be at a higher kilohertz, then you either need to use less drum hits, obviously, or speed the sample up faster and pitch it down in the P6, and then it will be good to go. Of course, the more you speed it up and the more you pitch it down, the more artifacts you will have, but the P6 is, it's not clean, but I think it handles a lot of these things nicely. But of course, if you're going to pitch something down by an octave, then it's going to change how it sounds, and it might sound better and it might sound worse. So that's something to keep in mind. So now I have the question of how will we make the sampling work. So the first thing we want to do is we want to change the, mute the mic, of course, and then we want to change the lo-fi setting to what we want. So I want 14. I want it in mono, I think you should do for sure mono for all the drums for sampling time, because drums can be in mono and then panned later on. Then the other thing we want, where is that? Free, definitely, and then change this so that it records off of sound input, and that will start the recording as soon as it hears the first sound. So then if I hit sample, it's on standby until I click play on my sound source. Boom. Then it's going to normalize quickly. So then to undo our 33 to 45 RPM thing, we're going to pitch this down by 5. Then we're going to go to voice, go to chop, skip all the way to 64 or however many you have. Alright, so I needed to trim after I did the 64 chops, I needed to trim this, because at first it sounds good, but then you hear there's a little bit of tail there, and that's fine. So one thing I would recommend to do is, since we added that note at the end, turns out that was useful, we just trim this out to the next snare. So for me it's 253, that's the last snare, I know that. And if we go to 3, so as you guys just saw, using the endpoint of 253 worked great. Everything sounds clean the whole way through, all 64 hits. So that means I did my job in the DAW. If it doesn't sound right, no matter what you do, then there's probably some hits hitting a little early or late in the DAW, just so you know. I will include these files in the description for educational purposes only. Okay, gotta find the camera, educational purposes only. So all I ask for you guys is that you comment down below and let me know what you guys have found that's unique to do with the P6, or any unique ideas you guys have to approach it. And also please check out my video that I did, a little beat performance in a medieval fortress with the P6, and let me know what you guys think about that video. Alright, peace and stay creative, alright?